My husband claimed he was at a conference. I zoomed into the background of a photo he posted. The clock behind him was from our local library. I waited there with a coffee. He walked in holding someone else's hand. I said, "Hope the book you picked is a drama." All right. Let me just say this now. I'm not someone who goes looking for trouble. I was a loyal wife. Routine, even. I made the coffee every morning, washed the bedsheets every other Sunday, and kept track of our dentist appointments on a color-coded calendar. I'm not the kind of woman who snoops. Or at least, I wasn't. Ryan and I had been married 11 years. We lived in Decatur, Illinois. Not exactly a place you hear much about unless you're from here. It's quiet. Real people. One of those towns where everyone's got some cousin who works at ADM, and you always know at least 3 people at the grocery store. You can't hide much in a place like Decatur. Unless you really want to. Ryan worked in IT for a local bank. Not glamorous, but it paid the bills. Every few months he'd go to some conference, usually Chicago or Indy, where he'd network and stay updated on the latest tech trends. I never questioned it. Hell, I even encouraged it. I thought it was good for him. Gave him something outside the monotony of our day-to-day. That's what a supportive wife does, right? This time, he told me he had a 3-day summit in Indianapolis. Left Thursday morning with his little rolling suitcase and a fresh haircut. Gave me a kiss on the forehead like always. I made him a batch of his favorite lemon muffins to take along. That was Thursday. Friday night, I was curled up on the couch with our golden retriever, Scout. I had one of those scented candles going, pumpkin wreath, or whatever ridiculous name they slap on those things. I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook when I saw Ryan's story. It was a picture of him at what looked like a mixer. Beer in hand, khakis, polo shirt, that same stupid, I'm the fun guy at work grin. At first glance, nothing strange. But then I looked again. Behind him was a wall mural and a big, round clock. I blinked. Something about it made my chest tighten. It looked familiar. Not in the way you recognize a painting or a TV show, but familiar like muscle memory. Like something you see every day but don't think twice about. I stared at it. Then I opened my phone's gallery and searched for an old picture I'd taken at last year's library book sale. Found it. Same clock. Same mural. That mural had a painted river and cornfields with some local kid's name credited in the corner. It was the mural from our public library. The Decatur Public Library. Right downtown. He wasn't in Indianapolis. He never left. My throat went dry. I checked the time stamp on the story, posted 2 hours ago. I refreshed it. Still there. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. I sat there in complete silence. I felt something shift inside me like ice cracking. It wasn't just that he lied. It was how sloppy the lie was. How little he thought of me. I could have missed it if I wasn't paying attention. But I did. I noticed. So I made a plan. The next morning, I woke up early. Didn't say anything to anyone. Didn't tell my sister. Just got dressed, simple jeans and a sweatshirt, and drove to the library. Got there a few minutes after opening. I sat in that exact reading room where the photo was taken. Chose a seat in the corner with a view of the entrance. I had a coffee from the shop down the street. I held it like a prop, something to keep my hands from trembling. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. At 10:42 a.m., I saw him. Ryan. In a navy windbreaker. Smiling. But he wasn't alone. She was maybe late 20s, early 30s. Blonde bob, red sweater, skinny jeans. Looked like the kind of woman who orders her salad dressing on the side. She had her hand in his. They were close. Comfortable. Like this was a routine for them. They walked in laughing about something. She leaned into him. He reached for her waist. And, just like that, everything made sense. The conferences, the late nights fixing server issues, the emotional distance I'd tried to ignore for the past year. I let them get a few steps in. Then he saw me. His eyes locked on mine, and I swear time froze. His smile dropped. His hand fell away from hers like he'd touched a hot stove. The color drained from his face. She looked confused, following his gaze to me. I stood up slowly, sipped from my coffee, and said, calm as can be, hope the book you picked is a drama. And then I walked out. No screaming. No scene. Just those words and my footsteps echoing across the tile. But that was just the start. I didn't go home right away. I parked at the Walgreens lot down the street and sat there for a while, staring out the windshield. My hands were cold, even though the heater was running. My mind wasn't racing. It was still. Too still. Like that moment just before a storm hits, when everything goes quiet. I watched the people coming and going, buying diapers, prescriptions, snacks. Living their normal lives. I felt like something in me had snapped, but not loud. It was quiet. Cold. Final. I went home about an hour later. Scout greeted me at the door, tail wagging, tongue out. That broke me for a second. I knelt down and hugged him so tight he squirmed. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and the muffins I'd made for Ryan. I dumped them all in the trash. I didn't hear from him until later that afternoon. He didn't call. He texted. We need to talk. Please. I can explain. I stared at the message for a good 10 minutes before typing back. Meet me at the house. Don't bring her. He showed up 40 minutes later. I watched him pull in from the front window. His car looked the same, but he looked smaller in it somehow. Like a kid who got caught shoplifting. I opened the door before he knocked. He stepped in and opened his mouth, but I held up a hand. Sit. He sat on the edge of the couch like it might burn him. Who is she? I asked. He hesitated. Her name's Brenna. How long? He rubbed his eyes. About 8 months. I didn't blink. And the other times? The other conferences? He swallowed. Sometimes it was real. Sometimes not. I nodded slowly, like I was filing it all away in a drawer I planned to burn later. He leaned forward. It didn't mean I cut him off. Don't give me the it didn't mean anything line. You held her hand. In public. You smiled at her like I used to matter to you. He shut his mouth. I stood there and looked at the man I'd built a life with, the man who'd helped me pick out our kitchen tile and cried with me when my dad died. And all I could think was I don't know you anymore. You're gonna pack a bag, I said. You're gonna go stay somewhere else. And you're gonna leave the keys on the counter. He looked up at me, eyes wide. You're not even going to let me know, I said flatly. You don't get to be in this house right now. He stood slowly, looked around like he was seeing it all for the last time. Maybe he was. He didn't argue. He walked upstairs, grabbed a duffel, and was out of the house in 15 minutes. I sat down after the door closed and let the silence wrap around me. Then I did what I should have done months ago. I opened the bank account. We'd had a joint account for over a decade, but I'd never looked too closely. I trusted him. He handled the bills, the budget, all of it. I should have known better. Over $4,000 in restaurant charges, hotel stays, gas stations in towns he never told me he was visiting. One charge stood out. A little Airbnb outside Springfield 2 months ago. Valentine's weekend. We spent that weekend apart. He told me he had to work on a server migration. I remembered texting him a photo of me and Scout curled up with a bottle of wine. He'd replied with a heart emoji. While he was in bed with someone else. I felt it all boiling over, but I didn't cry. I'd passed the point of tears. I was going to make him pay for every damn lie. First thing Monday, I called a lawyer. Her name was Ruth Marlowe. Older woman. Straight shooter. No sugarcoating. I liked her immediately. I sat in her office, laid it all out. The affair. The lies. The bank statements. She didn't blink. We've seen worse, she said. But I'm guessing you don't want this to be quiet. No, I said. I want it fair. But I want the truth out. She leaned back in her chair. You work. Part-time. Bookkeeping for a small vet clinic. Kids? No, she nodded. That helps. Listen, he'll probably try to settle fast. Guilt will make him generous at first. But the second he realizes you're serious, he'll get defensive. Especially if he thinks the other woman's waiting on him. Let him, I said. I want him to know what it feels like to lose control. That night, Ryan texted again. Can we talk? Just talk. I miss you. I didn't reply. Instead, I logged into our joint Netflix account. Renamed the profile he used to cheater. Changed the password. Petty? Maybe. But it felt good. Later that week, I went by the bank to close the joint account. The teller paused and asked, "Do you want to notify the other account holder?" No, I said. Let him find out the way I did. By Thursday, the whispers had started. Decatur's small, and things travel fast. I hadn't said a word to anyone, but my best friend Cassie called me and said, I just saw Ryan at Applebee's with a girl who looked like she sells essential oils and cheats on her taxes. I laughed for the first time in days. She's real, I said. And he lied to me for 8 months. Cassie didn't hesitate. What do you want to do? I'm working on it, I said. But what I didn't tell her, what I hadn't told anyone, was that I found something else when I went through our finances. There was a second credit card. One I never knew about. I only found it because he'd used our shared address when he applied for it. Sloppy mistake. And it was maxed out. $9,000. Mostly hotels. Jewelry. One charge for a boutique that sold women's handbags. Another for a plane ticket to Tampa. In her name. Brenna. I checked the date. He'd booked it just 2 weeks ago. That meant he was planning something. A trip. A move. A whole future with her behind my back. But here's the twist. He used my name on one of the charges. A business expense. He listed me as the guest. I took a screenshot. Sent it to Ruth. This changes things, she replied. We're not just talking infidelity now. He could have committed fraud. Suddenly, it wasn't just a divorce. It was a legal mess. And I had the receipts. I waited. I let Ryan think I was breaking quietly, nursing a broken heart while he played house with his new girl. He had no idea I'd found the second credit card. No idea I'd turned it over to my lawyer. And he definitely didn't know I'd spoken to someone at the bank, someone who confirmed that he'd submitted forged reimbursement forms for work expenses, using my name to back up his lies. It wasn't just betrayal. It was criminal. The week after I handed all the documents to Ruth, I filed for divorce. Ruth served him at his temp apartment, a buddy's place on the edge of town, on a Friday afternoon. He called me right after. You're trying to destroy me, he said, his voice low and shaky. No, I replied. You already did that. I'm just finishing what you started. Silence on the line. You've been tracking me? He asked. Digging through my stuff? You lied to me. You made me your alibi for fraud. I didn't have to dig far. He hung up. That weekend, word spread fast. Ruth didn't just file the divorce. She filed a formal notice to his employer, warning them that forged documents might be coming their way. She had to, legally. His company launched an internal audit. By Monday, Ryan was put on leave. By Friday, he was fired. Cassie texted me, "Did you hear he got canned?" I wrote back, "Heard it from the source." He tried calling again. I let it ring. Then Brenna texted me. Yep. She had the nerve. I didn't know he was married. I swear. I feel sick. I stared at the screen. She probably thought I'd pity her. Maybe even thank her for being honest. Instead, I wrote, "You knew enough to go to the library holding his hand while he still shared a bed with me. Enjoy picking up the pieces." She never replied. The divorce dragged for 3 more months. He tried to fight the fraud charges, but Ruth was ruthless. She showed them everything. Photos. Statements. Even pulled his old emails showing his plans to write off personal trips as work expenses. Eventually, he settled. He signed over the house. Paid me $40,000 in damages from his severance package. Lost most of his reputation in town. Word was, he tried to get a job in Springfield, but couldn't pass the background check because of the open fraud report. I kept the house. Got a new job, full-time this time, with better pay. Scout and I spent more evenings on the back porch, just breathing. No more lies. No more waiting up. And Ryan? Last I heard, he moved in with a cousin in Peoria, working under the table at some tech repair shop. It's funny. He used to say I was too simple, that I didn't think big. But it turns out it's the quiet ones who remember everything. Every receipt. Every lie. Every smile that didn't reach the eyes. I didn't scream. I didn't throw his stuff in the yard. I just watched, waited, and let the truth catch up. And it did. Hard.